Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Hopefully, we have a productive interview. Um, when this all started back in actually before March for me, um, I was surprised at even before the lockdowns at kind of the intensity of negative things that were coming out in the media about just handling pandemics and epidemics in general. It really kind of shocked me. There was kind of a torrent of media reports kind of condemning the idea of herd immunity and how we have normally handled epidemics and pandemics in the past. And that kind of shocked me and alarmed me. I was wondering why is this occurring now?
This was before March already.
This was before March. That's correct. This was going on already by the end of January, early February. And that kind of alarmed me because that looked more like a plan leading up to a series which ultimately became what I think is induced panic. The world, I thought, just all of a sudden got thrown into this induced panic attack, and it has yet not come out of it.
Can you say something about the lockdown measures as such? Social distancing, face masks, all the things that we are doing now. Do they work at all?
For this kind of a virus that is epidemic or pandemic, no. I mean, that is essentially, they don't work. Now, the old traditional method of like if you had the flu or the cold, most people are taught you cover your mouth and nose if you sneeze or cough. If you always warn people, don't get too close to me. I maybe got a virus or something, and so you kind of take sort of a distance, self quarantine approach anyway. Most people who get the flu or have a cold don't really feel like socializing a lot. And so that's kind of been the normal pattern. So there is some value to, when you are sick, not getting too close to people and just kind of taking care of yourself and protecting the environment. But the extremes that we've gone through in 2020, I just have never been done before. Not even, in the original flu pandemic in 1917, 1918, these were some areas tried certain things like this, and it proved ineffective, and it was given up and never returned to.
Why does social distancing and face masks not work? Is it because the virus is spread through aerosols, at least partially, that travel larger distances and are so small that they are not stopped by face masks?
That's part of it, yes. Face masks, and one of the points that I was making in my article on the face mask, the year of disguises, is there's really two ideas to a face mask, and one is penetration, and one is contamination, right? So you can have penetration or lack of penetration, which is a virus particle or droplets, whatever you want to talk about, going through the mask. But there's also contamination, and that happens if it does not go through the mask. So you really aren't solving a problem by face masks. You're only transferring the problem. So whether it be through penetration, and the smaller particles will penetrate. So small aerosols, less than a micron, will penetrate most of the masks that are out there. Some masks may have a little bit more efficiency at stopping some of them, but they are generally not that efficient. But you then transfer, if you're talking about a virus environment, you're now talking about contamination as a source. And contamination starts now to become the issue, not penetration. So you have to deal with both.
Because the virus is still there. It's
still there. Yeah. That's right. And the coronavirus, through the stability studies I've seen, and the European CDC has published these, they've found coronavirus from SARS-CoV-2 viable on a surgical mask up to 7 days. So they survive quite some time on masks.
And yet we see Joe Biden, who is hoping to be the next president of the United States. We don't know that at the moment, but I saw him at it. I think it was his first press conference, and he said, that there's a dark winter ahead, and but there's one thing that we, the citizens of the United States in that case, can do. And he was waving. He says, wear a mask. Usually American presidents sort of wave a flag, but now we have one who is waving a mask. And, there are a lot of people here too that even reproach you on the street or in the shop when you don't wear a mask. How do you look at that? I mean, how is it possible that the whole world seems to be sold now on this on this idea of masks?
That's $1 million question. If I could answer that question, someone ought to throw me $1 million. I don't know. In fact, one of the biggest shocks I've had is the complete ease with which so many people have accepted that, particularly the masking. I mean, people I know that wear masks, they are always complaining about it. They hate wearing them. I haven't met anyone who's like, yeah, I like wearing the mask. No, they all hate it.